couldn't get any points in Missile. He was 204. He was farming up fantastically. At the same time, he was also destroying a Divine Llama Mars that felt like there was nothing they could do. And I think even though gave up a few kills here and there, once you hit that level maybe 3 mark on the Ogre Magi, all your spells just really hurt, and you have 8 armor, you've got good base damage, you're just the wall in front of the gyrocopter. And so I think Undying say, we're going to steal it, we're not going to make Brax deal with it, not going to make Saberlight deal with it, and we're just not going to let it happen to our guy, because we saw how effective it was. Just again showing that Undying, they're watching these matchups, they're watching these teams, and they're not going to let you do whatever you want.
Very much the sort of lane bully that the Ogre has really always been, but appears to sort of be coming back into favor a little bit among some of these NA and SA squads. So Undying will take it for themselves. They'll also take Doom with that 4th pick, a hero that they very much like to put Saberlight on. Yesterday against 4 Zoomers, mixed results with that Doom, but they still feel so incredibly comfortable with that hero, the ability to just sort of, in certain situations, take someone fully out of that fight. Maybe you don't kill them, but you at least sort of force them to back away from the engagement. That's the kind of impact Undying want. Turn a 5v5 into a 5v4 and see where that sort of takes you from there. Infamous, though, coming in with the Hoodwink, and now the Bloodseeker, I'm assuming for Parker. They don't really put Mariano on this hero all that much, and we've mentioned before, the offlane Bloodseeker feels kind of underwhelming a lot of the time, so I would put my money on Parker on the Bloodseeker. That would then shift the Gyrocopter back into A's hands as that other support.
Yeah, and we really only saw that Bloodseeker move to the offlane position at the brink of the patch, whenever everything was new, fresh. You could get a Solar Crest and Boots of Travel, and nothing really mattered, and you would always get a little bit too much damage from your Thirst, and it felt really good. But after a couple of nerfs, hero wasn't really in good favor. Unfortunately now for Undying, though, that TA does not like to be ruptured. I'd say it's probably top 3 or 4 heroes that don't want to be ruptured. And while you can blink while you're ruptured, if you do have that refraction charge and you won't take any tick of damage, again, it's going to give you vision for this Invis hero. Everybody's going to be moving fast. He's going to be chaotic. And this is something that we saw for Zoomers sort of do when they saw the Doom get picked up. Just make as many Doom targets possible and make them hard to hit. We see movement speed valued very, very heavily by these teams, whether or not it's the Lashrak or the Razor, where if you don't have that really guaranteed disable, in Snapfire Ogre Doom, unless you're getting that Blink Centaur stomp, you don't have fantastic guaranteed disable. It really is just the Fire Blast. We're not seeing a Mirana Yule setup. We're not seeing just a very simple stun. We're not seeing a Golem. All of these heroes, if you can just walk away, Infamous, that's exactly what they're going to do. And this is something, again, their Bloodseeker plays so well. Unfortunately, A is going to be put in a position where maybe his skill build's going to play against him. The homing missile will probably get countered out by that little shredder. But again, Infamous, they've played this lane more so than any other teams. They've been catching a lot of these teams off guard in the lane. And Parker and A, they play fantastically well together. I don't think they've lost a lane yet in that losers bracket playoff. So we'll have to see what Saberlight and Moonmeander are able to do in that bottom lane.
Yeah, it's going to be honestly a bit of a maybe sort of tough matchup for them going into it, but we'll have to wait and see, and a lot of this may depend on exactly what Infamous do here with this final pick, looking presumably for Mariano's hero. Okay. In with the mag there to honestly just give them maybe a little bit of that Tingle King effect that we saw from the cut, a hero that we know what he's capable of in terms of teamfight strength, but outside of that as well, you've got Empower for a Magnus with Bloodseeker and Ember Spirit as your other 2 cores. So the farming rate here for those other 2 cores for Infamous is going to be significantly higher than what Undying may be expecting, and potentially higher than what they might be able to keep up with.
And we'll see how Mariano is able to play this. I don't think we've actually seen him on the Magnus yet this tournament, but again, he dusts off or polishes up the dust, gets it off of his sort of older heroes. He's been playing a really varied amount of heroes pretty much the entire tournament. And they do immediately counter with the Ursa, which is a little bit sad, something that he will have to sort of contest with, needs to sort of go for that 3-0-2 build where you can still get aggressive on the Ursa pre-level 6, but you also just need your spells to survive. If they're a little bit too high cooldown, you're going to get punished pretty much every single time. But again, it's not really for the lane, right? It is for the fact that you are going to be playing Magnus with this empowered Ember Spirit, with this empowered Bloodseeker. And really, the Ember is the one to take note of here, where he's going to have a little bit more space. He's going to have a little bit more time. And it's just a sleight of fist where something's going to happen. The little bit more damage that's going to come out from this Ember Spirit is 100% going to be felt across the map, especially with supports like, or a support in an offlane like the Snapfire and the Doom, where you need to sort of itemize and build around the fact that we need to get on the top of this guy. If KXY is able to be a little bit too effective in these fights, if nobody is shutting down this Ember Spirit, even though they first phased it, it is a very free Ember game. And again, Saberlight, we saw yesterday in one of his Doom games more so than the other, if he's able to find these key targets, lock them down in team fights, you are Doom. You are going to be able to do your job. It's just how well can you do it?
A lot of pressure on him, but Saberlight, well, I mean, we know he's up for it, right? We know he's capable of it. Feels like, honestly, in this game, there's going to be pressure on both offlaners. That sort of blink RP play out from the mag is going to be sort of a large part of Infamous's potential teamfight strength as well. So very much looking to that sort of pause 3 role for really a little bit of everything. They're going to need damage, lockdown, initiation, and in the Magnus's case, sort of farming speed for his teammates. So obviously it's not going to come entirely down to them, but Saberlight and Mariano very much going to be instrumental to their team's success here, as we see Undying grouped up a little bit, moving their way towards the river. Not going to get too carried away just yet here, but there could be some potential for movement. Otherwise, I'm not really sure you need all 4 of them here to protect the rune, but just going to keep an eye on the river. Meanwhile, for Infamous, they go slightly across here for the ward. South American teams do kind of prefer maybe a little bit of that aggressive vision, but nothing too serious. We're just going to sit and really wait for those initial runes.
And while it does feel like this is sort of Infamous's default setup when it comes to these wards, it really is saying, Undying, you've got a Snapfire, you've got an Ogre Magi. The most annoying thing you can do is that Ogre Magi rotating over towards that rune, being a little bit obnoxious. It's not something that Faker is going to want to deal with, not going to want to sort of be without knowledge. And also just seeing if that Ogre is going to maybe make the rotation to steal a bounty rune, then Michael can very simply just mirror him over, give him that 1v1 on the Magnus. Really, Michael and Mariano, it is an Ursa. This is something that they're going to have to contest with. Early levels, they should have the advantage, but eventually, once you have that chainmail, once you have those phase boots, the lane does sort of turn sour, and that's where we might see Mariano go for some creep pulling, maybe going to just go farm some stacks. We'll have to see how they sort of play around the fact that this bear is going to be fairly annoying for you.
And I don't really know how much they can do in terms of actual kill potential onto the bear himself. Maybe they could punish Dubu a couple times, but as we saw yesterday when Infamous ran this hero, those first couple of deaths for the Ogre, they really don't seem to matter all that much. Dubu's still going to be able to do what he wants here. We see him with the first point up in the Bloodlust, actually, just so he's got that little bit of sort of extra speed, both move and attack speed wise, to get in a little bit of extra harassment. So Tomato, he's just going to let his teammate handle this, pushing in for the last hits, trying to dodge out the shockwave unsuccessfully, but this is going to be obnoxious to handle. This Ogre's just going to keep coming at you. He's so tanky early, and I mean, Michael's obviously doing his best, but Hoodwink at level 1 is not exactly going to be able to fully deter the Ogre.
Yeah, you have a very bad BAT. The Ogre's got 7 armor, 660 HP, and 60 attack speed with this level 1 Bloodlust. This is something we actually didn't see A do yesterday. Instead, I think he valued that level 1 Ignite still. But again, just different playstyles, different ways they like to play the hero. And Dubu is copping a lot of damage here, but again, none of this pressure is being put on your Ursa. Tomato only has 1 set of tangos, and there really isn't any forcing plays that they're able to make on him just yet. In mid, oh, KXY, he got Sideblade down.
Sideblade drops him low. The Melod Strike came in there at the end, I believe, as well, as it is now on cooldown. So KXY just wasn't ready. That spill damage is always something you have to keep an eye on, but if you get too low with it, I think KXY was assuming Brow was going to try to finish it with the side blades as well. Instead, he just sort of hits him straight up with the bonus damage, and that is actually fantastic for Brow, just straight up winning that fight. KXY now going to get set back a little bit in this lane. Meanwhile, up top, Moonmeander and Saberlight are getting pushed back a little bit here. Saberlight in particular has taken quite a bit of damage in this lane. All of his regen has been burned through. He does have that bracer. for the sort of increased durability, and now the salve is going to be delivered to him. But if this kind of harassment can continue from Parker and A, then the Doom doesn't want to keep on sort of having to send salves out to himself here.
Oh, definitely not. And while you do have this bracer, it is sort of the be-all, end-all that you could ever want on Doom, since you don't have that much health regen. I think he's just been getting hit up by that gyrocopter. It's just a very obnoxious hero, and there's not much that Moon can do to sort of help him there. And Parker, again, he's always going to put that blood right onto the creeps. I think Saberlight's been having to tank him, trying to contest, because it is still level 1, but still, you're just going to eat damage. Not going to really matter too much here, but they're being annoying with this chain lightning. You got a pretty good creep. And actually, I don't think they should be able to make the attempt, but still forcing him out.
And Parker at this point, a little bit low on regen himself. He's holding on to one tango. A does not have a salve for him, although there is one that he's purchased that has to sort of be brought out. But until then, Saberlight, he kind of wants to push forward a little bit with that chain lightning. Maybe he can get a bit more done if Parker's not careful, but see the Bloodseeker trying to sort of sit behind his tower, hoping to sort of heal up off of those creeps, but it's going to be a gradual process for him. If he tries to push forward, Moon and Saberlight could try to punish him, so just got to sort of, right now, sit under his tower, play it safe while his teammate tries to cover, but hey, he's actually getting into some trouble there as Saberlight hits him up, the cookie stun is in, and there's going to be that sort of chain lightning play once again, but Parker, okay, looking to avenge his teammate, just jumps directly in onto Moon Meander, and Saberlight really used everything he had on the first play onto the gyrocopter, didn't have the mana for anything else. So 1-for-1 trade in the top lane, at least, as Parker's able to find himself a kill there.
And honestly, I think that's incredibly good for Infamous. Now you get 2 courier rides instantly towards your Bloodseeker. His lane's going to stabilize. He healed a lot off of that kill. And while Moon Meander gets a mana reset, so does the Gyrocopter. And I think the only reason they really make that play is because he used the Little Shredder for harass. Moon didn't really expect them to make a play with that Bloodseeker sitting around that 200, 300 HP range. But A says, okay, I'll take one for the team here. I'm going to go die. It looks like the Doom doesn't have enough mana for that Scorched Earth. Sure, I'll take it. Honestly, I think it's a really fantastic play from the Gyro.
Yeah, the sacrificial play going to work in his team's favor overall as Parker was able to find that first kill. Meanwhile, down in the bottom lane, Tomato getting hit up a little bit here. Michael tried to hit him with the Bushwhack, not going to connect though, and now Mariano is the one who's dropping a little bit low. He will fall back. Tomato, meanwhile, should be just fine. He's got himself some tangos. Going to have to sort of take some time to actually make use of all of them, but Infamous not able to get the job done that time. But you're starting to see them looking a bit more aggressive here, going in for these sorts of plays as they will get the Acorn shot down. Mariano wants that shockwave into the skewer, but
yeah.
All right, Tomato, nifty moves there. Earth shocks himself out of that skewer play, and he is going to be just fine. But as I said, Infamous, they're really looking for this now. Michael and Mariano feel like they have the advantage if they can get that combo down. Skewer into Bushwhack's really going to take sort of Tomato out of his element for quite some time.
You do have to be careful, though, just because the bear, it is still just the bear, and while the biggest advantage for him right now is that there is this shockwave damage there, very obnoxious, but actually mid,
yeah,
they're striking before the Ember. He's 2 creeps away from his level 6.
Going to be taken down. Hey, that's a little too late now. He's in trouble too, slowed up by the trap. His courier is even coming out to him, but whatever that courier is delivering, it's not going to be enough. Yeah, he's just... oh, he's so dead. 2 traps, a Fire Blast coming out there. Moon Meander, I think, hit him up with a Shredder as well, so he just was not going to be leaving that one alive, as that is going to be 2 kills in the middle. Excuse me, in the middle lane now for Undying. Good rotation from their own supports, and the rotations from Infamous' supports coming a little bit late.
And it really comes down to Bryle is just so heckin' good. He's really made this matchup feel terrible for Faker, for KXY, and it's such a clean, like, even better than we think, rotation, because they rotate as the ward expires in the bottom lane, so they have absolutely no idea this is happening on the Infamous side, and Bryle is already almost a level and a half up on the Ember Spirit, just to make it even easier for him. He's really just showing why he's one of those powerhouses of the region.
His play has been really phenomenal so far. So Bryle now sort of farming up in that jungle, taking the Ancient stack, looking for, I would assume, the early Deso for him, but hasn't really queued up anything just yet. Meanwhile, up in the top lane, Parker, I want to be a little bit careful. Saberlight's not level 6 just yet, but they're going to go in for this anyway, starting things off with the stun, but that increased move speed is going to get him away, while Tomato gets a run down in the bottom lane. KXY rotates in. Mariano goes for the skewer. They are going to be able
and then
to
back
get it.
top, Parker.
Oh, he got
his CP canceled.
And And they should have him. There it is. Scorched Earth damage will come through. Saberlight finds the kill, and, well, trade-off basically on those carries at this point in the game, and I do believe Parker was worth a little bit more there net worth-wise compared to the Ursa, so Undying should come out maybe with a slight advantage on that front, but over in the middle lane, Ryle and Moon getting some damage onto the tower. The two supports are here for Infamous to try and defend it, but now, Rookie Stun coming in.
Oh, Michael.
Wow. Ryle really hits him up there with the damage. That wasn't even the meld. That was just the straight up side blade. Now they throw the meld onto A, but KXY back into the fight. Searing Chains comes down. TA in trouble. Mariano skewering forward as well. Ryle will be taken down, and now the snap has nowhere to go, really. He's going to try for the play. Ooh. Try for the play with a little shredder. That's 3 points up in it, so the damage is there to take A down, and if you're Undying, at least you get something there, but that one, I don't know. That one felt a little bit weird. They get the cookie stun onto Michael, but he's so far under the tower that it felt like that was already a play they weren't really going to be able to fully follow up on, and with KXY sort of making his way into the fight afterwards, they just get caught really in an awkward spot, and Infamous are able to take both of those heroes down. At least Tomato, though, did get the tier 1 tower up top, so you do still claim an objective at the end of the day.
And it's just, I think, Ryle making that call, wanting to be aggressive, staying out on the map with his team. They were hitting up that tier 1 tower mid at the beginning of all that, and they are pushing it down. If they don't make another response like they did before, this is just going to be a free tier 1 tower. And I think as soon as Saberlight shows up here, it's just going to be forfeit. They don't want to play into the TA traps. They've already gotten punished twice now, playing a little bit too heavy into her territory. And I think they caught the edge of that smoke on the Snapfire, so I think, yeah, they're picking out that they know that somebody's in their triangle right now. Oh, and they double smoke on Infamous. Okay. There's a DD on the Ember Spirit, but that's going to pop in just a few moments here. Okay, this is a little bit of an interesting position.
How far is this wraparound going to go? They're sort of swinging a little bit further west than I thought that they would, but I mean, they have eyes on the Snapfire mid to a certain extent. They could just go in for that quick kill, but there's so many heroes nearby for the Undying side. I am very much afraid for Infamous. If they go in here, they're going to get sort of counterplayed, but they'll make the move. They go in onto Moon. Can they bring him down quickly? Yes, they can.
Okay,
but
does he get the Doom?
The trap. The Doom is
he tried.
going to be thrown down. KXY did get hit by it. He is going to be taken out, and now this fight's going to start to break up. The Infamous side don't really have a whole lot right now. Mariano does have the RP, but there's no blink, so he'd have to basically skewer in. And he really doesn't feel like it. That's not a play that they think they can make, especially with KXY out of the fight. A lot of their damage was already missing. So, yeah, you get Moon Meander, but Undying, we're basically laying him out there as the bait. They jump in, they get 2 kills. They are going to swing that fight in their favor, and now we're 10 minutes in. They're up by 3,000 net worth.
Yeah, and it's sort of that object permanence where they lose track of the Undying heroes a little bit. They think that they're going to split off farm. They're going to play a little bit efficient. And instead, there is just this Doom running at your Ember Spirit, and KXY unfortunately just has to sit there and eat it. He tried to go for a Remnant dodge. He was just trying to sort of mess up the combo, get any sort of support, but punishment was there. Meanwhile, I think, yeah, Dubu died bottom. Not much you can do about it. They just have this ward up here being a little bit obnoxious. He actually died trying to deward. I think Mariano just skewered him away from the cliff, so not much you could do in that regard. But once you get this Blink Dagger on the Magnus, then you are going to have those blink skewer plays on those rupture target, and that's where Bryle does need to be very scared whenever he does decide to sort of show his face. And Mariano is coming up on that blink very quickly. He hasn't gotten shut out really at all. And Tomato, he has gone for this Morbid Mask, something we only really see if you want to go for those early Roche attempts. And I think, yeah, he's just going to go right into the pit, and that's where Infamous, they really have to make the call. Do you want to go through mid? Do you want to try and get control over these TA traps? Or do you want to let this Roche go? And it's actually Undying that make the call that say, okay, let's wait a little bit. I think they know we're in here. And yeah, even the Sharpshooter just to scout it out.
Sharpshooter was thrown in. Meanwhile, Parker able to lead the charge in onto Saberlight, who is just kind of trying to push out the bottom lane a little bit there. Mariano goes in. RP was deployed, though, but they get the kill. But now, you know the RP is down for a little bit. Is this where Undying tried to get aggressive? Moon Meander was sort of pushing forward a little bit, but I don't really know if they want this fight. The calldown's coming in from A. That homing missile does get in onto Moon Meander as well, I believe, so they've already blown through a little bit of that lockdown on the Infamous side. They're already starting to back away, and Ryle's thinking about it, just sort of hanging out in the river. Wanted to see if the rune was there first. Not going to get anything immediately, but now this is such a weird sort of fight. It's a back and forth kind of affair. No one's really sure if they want to commit all in for this, and now KXY decides, yeah, drop a Remnant, TP back to base. Let's heal up here just in case this does turn into something. But while all of that was happening, Tomato is going to push his way back in. And again, the RP is down. I think the Rupture's down for actually
Look
just
at
a
how
few more
fast it
seconds.
goes.
Oh my god. That's
Yeah.
a lot of damage and a lot of armor reduction. So, yeah, Infamous not going to be able to get here in time. Bryle will be the one to take the Aegis. So, got that up in the hands of that Templar Assassin. And now, if you're Infamous, you got to be careful. They've got 2 lives up on the TA. They are going to be coming at you looking for the fight.
And working incredibly fast towards that Desolator, that's going to sort of compound even more issues. And Undying have done a really fantastic job of playing around this TA and playing versus the Hoodwinked, where they're not letting him go to these side lanes, play in those tree lines, trying to get that split push play that we saw Moon Meander sort of fostering the other day. Instead, they're sticking to this mid and enemy jungle area where Infamous can't really invade unless they go for a smoke into their own jungle, I suppose, and try to get a little bit of that vision control back. The cliff wards are a little bit too strong, and if they ever try to venture even a little bit close, there are TI traps scouting out pretty much all of those ramps, so they're going to have a very good idea of what's going on. Bryle as well, maintaining rune control pretty much the entire game. KXY, I think, had 1 DD rune, and that's been about all he's been getting in that power rune. And Ember Spirit, again, he's a spirit. He needs those runes to accelerate, feel impactful in those early stages of the game. And it feels like Infamous, they want to fight, but if this fight that they're sort of posturing for top goes wrong, they're going to be so much further behind. And I think A looks like his life is forfeit. He's being obnoxious.
And Sharpshooter hit comes through as well. The TA is a little bit low, but A is still going to go down, and Saberlight, he's holding the Doom. He needs to find a target. Can he hit up anyone right now? No. Infamous are just going to sort of back off first. Once A goes down, they realize we don't really have the opportunity, but they are in onto Dubu. Good play in there for Mariano, connecting with that Skewer, so they do manage to bring him down.
Nice.
Meanwhile, Moon Meander, I believe, was hit up by the Rupture as well, as Parker sort of gets in a little bit further forward. He will be able to secure that one, so they do take down the 2 supports, but really, they needed to get that Aegis out of the hands of Bryle. They weren't quite able to do so, as the TA was just able to use the refractions and back off before anyone could reach him. So, Undying will save the cores, but at the end of the day, that's a 2-for-1 trade for Infamous, and your Tier 2 tower is still alive. So, maybe not a massive triumph, but a little victory for them, and now they want a little bit bigger of a victory there, as they did spot out Saberlight just for a little while, but not able to actually lock him down.
It's very funny. I think Mariano was just blinking forward to give KXY that empower, but instead he blinks on top of a Doom. So, okay, nothing gained, nothing lost there, but KXY doesn't need to worry about any plays being made on him. And if they can continue to farm, again, after that play is made, they're able to get that vision, get out of their own jungle, they're able to take back control. And I think Undying made a slight misplay there. Whenever you sort of have Bryle at 100 HP, the Bloodseeker comes in full swing. He doesn't really care anymore. And having both supports sit on that cliff a little bit too confidently is definitely a little bit more than I think they could manage at that time. Even the supports right now on Undying side aren't the most leveled. Both of them are sort of propping up on that level 8. And I think he even had kisses on cooldown when he was standing on that cliff. So just a little bit too much confidence. But now Bryle, he has that full deso. He's going to be able to pressure these towers even further. In A, he's in the same spot. He was able to sort of kite out Bryle before and drag him into the trees. And if he can keep this tower alive as long as he can as a sole defender, and we see support coming in now, but they're really contemplating whether or not they should jump this gyrocopter, and Bryle, they're deciding whether or not they want to skewer him in, but I think they know it's a way too much of a risk. They don't have the damage there without Parker just sort of immediately being ready to TP in, because this is a huge fight coming up.
And you've got to assume that the reinforcements on the Undying side are nearby as they make their move. Kiss is coming through. They're going to try to get onto A. Can they bring him down in time? Yes, they can. Canceling out the TP. Tomato gets the kill, so they've got the gyro. They've got that tier 2 tower. Not really going to be able to get a further fight than that. Infamous already backed themselves away, so instead, Undying have actually kind of gone for the smoke here. It's not a full team smoke. Moon is just kind of out in front, not fully protected, but Saberlight, Tomato, and Duber are pushing forward. They're in on the KXY. Can they actually lock him down, though? No. Michael. Sharpshooter hit comes through. It's not going to do a whole lot of damage to Saberlight, but it at least sort of guarantees that Undying are going to be backing away. KXY, though, looking like he wants to go back in. He gets the Searing Chains on a Moon Meander, maybe, but he'd have to commit pretty far forward in a situation where Undying did have reinforcements nearby. So probably for the best that the Ember doesn't really go all in for that one. But now you see them looking to make their move. This is a bit of a wraparound play. Meanwhile, up top, they've already gotten in onto Tomato, and he tried to TP out. He didn't make it home in time.
Yeah, and it's a very simple play, and they also strike in mid, and now the Undying heroes, they feel sort of disconjoined. They feel a little bit impartial, and you have this Blink Dagger on Saberlight. You're trying to catch a hero pushing out this top wave, but they strike on Tomato instead. They weren't ready with the counter initiation to save him, and this has happened before with Saberlight, where it feels like he is maybe 1 or 2 steps behind his teammates, and Aegis
The
is
Aegis is...
reclaimed, and they
Yep.
have sight of him.
Mariano is going to make the jump. Skewer comes in. Saberlight needs to try and get off
Oh,
something here. He's holding the Doom. He will throw it now, but it's onto Michael. That's not exactly the hero that you wanted to hit up. Maybe he dies, but I don't really think that's going to matter. They trade him out for Saberlight even if he does go down, and at this point, the Hoodwink may not actually die here. He's got plenty of HP. He's going to be just fine. I think that may have been a misclick. I think he was trying to Doom up the Ember Spirit and ended up sort of clicking the wrong hero, but that's a mistake that really makes Bryle unable to sort of keep the fight going. Maybe if you hit up the Ember there, then Bryle can go in and drop the damage down, but with the Hoodwink being the one hit up, Bryle really didn't have any other choice than to just fall back.
and that's where I am a little bit afraid for the Undying side, where you do have to be careful, because we see when Saberlight does have this War Stomp, he does have this Centaur creep, it is really a badly made spell. It feels like what should hit doesn't hit, and what does hit shouldn't hit. It's one of those spells that if you have to rely on it, you almost wish it was a little bit more consistent. And again, Parker's stupid. He's making these plays, but I think he's going to get punished this time from this Tomato Diffusal. He needs a lot of help here.
Yeah, they are bringing the reinforcements in, though, and looks like he's
Ooh.
getting away for now, but Bryle wants into the fight. A is just going to get blown up. Not dead just yet, though. Good Ghost Scepter coming in, and now there's going to be the RP connecting onto 2. Saberlight, though, in for that
Perfect.
stomp, but not enough. Tomato still falls. Saberlight now dead as well. And Bryle, I mean, he's still going to work here. DD Rune is active, but there's just no target in range for him. He can't keep anyone locked down.
No.
And now Dubu, he's going to get rooted in place, taken down as well. Bryle just has to get away. He's looking for the TP
Oh.
home. Can they cancel? Yes, they
Got
can.
him.
Skewer's in. Bryle is just going to have to stand and fight, but he's not going to be able to do so.
And it's the little items. It's the Ghost Scepter coming in from A that makes him sort of survive that initial burst from Brow. I don't think Brow clicked on him. And then at the same time, the War Stomp onto those heroes, perfectly played from Mariano. He's able to keep that chain stun onto the Ursa. He isn't able to get that Enrage off. And Undying completely get punished. They even place a ward there to sort of scout out what's going on, so they have a little bit of a better idea for those backline supports. But then you also have the Solar Crest just finished up on Michael. I just felt like Undying just played into maybe 2 or 3 little item timings on the Infamous side, and man, they just lost that fight so convincingly. They took that without Doom, by the way, or Kisses. Again, it feels like they aren't having their ultimates at these very important plays, and they feel like they can make these because they have that lead, but now, after that 5-man wipe, it's completely swapped in the other direction.
Yeah, any net worth lead they were holding on to before has been wiped away. They were up by a bit over 4K at one point in this match, and now things have swung pretty significantly in the other direction. And this is exactly the kind of pace of play that Infamous really loves to put together. We've seen it over the sort of last couple of matches, both in the playoffs and on the back end of that group stage. They just hit their timing, and then they start to go, and right now Undying are sort of having some issues dealing with that aggression, just like really most of the last sort of 3 or 4 opponents Infamous have faced. But I don't know, if you're Undying, you're still not in a horrible position right now. Yes, you lost a 4K net worth lead, but they've still got the TA and the Ursa farming. Saberlight is always going to have that Doom. He just needs to put it on the right target, and Moon is... well, Moon is
Looks
basically
like he's gonna
sacrificing
get
himself
taken.
again.
And I mean, we saw this yesterday. It's the role that someone has to do, correct? Somebody's going to farm mid, somebody's going to farm bottom. And if Undying are able to make this style work where you can 3 farm in 2 of the 3 lanes, maybe somebody dies, this isn't going to be the worst case scenario. But Roche has respawned. Parker has a full butterfly. There are a lot of items coming out from the Infamous side that are really looking quite scary. And everything just feels so efficient on their side. And again, it comes back to, is Saberlight able to get the initiation with this War Stomp? Is he able to find the right target with the Doom? If he's able to ever get a Doom onto KXY, that's going to be great. But if Mariano is able to be there with that Blink RP sort of saving play, get them off of each other, the lockdown issue is still there for the Undying side. If you don't have that War Stomp into maybe the cookie, I think there are a lot of situations where KXY might just be able to walk away, especially if they don't have those traps set up. And, ooh, I don't think they know about these heroes on the cliff here. This is also a BKB on Bryle, so Undying, they want to get aggressive.
Ooh.
Oh, this is a little bit awkward.
Vision-wise, who sees what here? Undying see no one right now. Infamous have vision up on Bryle, so
We
the
don't know
game will
about
be
the Doom,
resumed.
though.
Don't know Saberlight's there, but they do know about Bryle, so they do sort of lock him up initially and sort of fall back there. Probably the smarter play from KXY, just regroup with your team, and now they'll go for the smoke. Full 5-man, pushing their way mid. What will they
Find
run
Bryle. They
into?
should see his BKB, so they need to use Blink RP.
Okay,
Oh,
there's going to be the Rupture. That starts out the fight. Dubu now going to get hit up by the Bushwhack into the Sharpshooter, into the Blood Right, and Dubu should be dead here. There we go. Parker's going to
they're
be able to
pinging
bring him
Bryle.
down, but...
They know he's on the trap right now. A just needs to place a sentry or... Oh,
Ooh, that
nice
missed.
stomp.
But look at the stomp in from Saberlight. He's not going to actually throw down the Doom just yet, but Tomato's in there, dishing out the damage. Taking down Michael, but Mariano responds with the RP. Parker, however, very low on health. He's actually the one who got hit up by the Doom there before Saberlight dies, so they are going to be able to bring him down. Now they're on to Mariano, trying to track down that mag. Tomato's just too damn big with that damage. They will be able to bring him down now. KXY, does he have an exit strat? He is going to jump away to that Remnant,
Ooh,
but...
still dead.
Oh my god. That is a projectile that could not be disjointed as Bryle gets that final right click in, and KXY will be taken down. So Undying needed that fight. They get it. They lose Saberlight, and I believe Dubo actually died twice in the fight, but 4 kills go in their way, and now access to the Roche Pit, and we saw how quickly they took it before. It might be even faster here the second time.
Yep, and it's just all of these key heroes still staying alive on the Undying side. After that Rupture, I really think Infamous should have backed off. They didn't have the aggression, they didn't have the control anymore for that TA, and that was the hoof stomp they needed. That was the initiation Saberlight's sort of been biding his time for, where he hits onto 2 heroes, he immediately gets that Doom onto Mr. Parker, and even though he has that Butterfly, his raw HP pool is not very high. That's why he was going for that Scotty before. Now we might see him sort of shift queue up a different item. He's going for the BKB instead. And really, he had the follow-up RP. Mariano was able to go for the save, and it felt like maybe there was a situation where the Bloodseeker is able to walk out, but you're playing in this mid lane where not only is your Hoodwink a little bit less effective, but you have these TA traps already set up. Bryle really hasn't changed this play up. As long as he's on this TA, he doesn't need to change his play up, and they continue to play into sort of Undying side of the map. And again, it's a huge swing because it goes immediately into the pit. You have another Aegis on this TA, and it's more confidence that Undying can sort of play with, whereas you would want to get aggressive. Yeah, they don't have Doom. Saberlight is just a creep at this point, but you have to play into an Aegis, so you're going to see Infamous, I think, go for more of that farming style where they're going to have to wait a little bit longer, and I think that's what Undying actually want them to do. And Moon might be TPing into 2 or 3 heroes here, but he's just kind of getting the vision down. If he dies with Gem, it will kind of suck, but reinforcements are coming.
But yeah, Dubu wants into the fight. He's going to get sort of ambushed there by A and KXY, though, so Dubu should be falling in this situation. Moon, though, might actually be able to get out now, so Saberlight TPing in and Bryle sort of making his way over.
Okay.
Can they do this?
He has the Doom.
Buying a lot of time. Saberlight Doom is going to be deployed, so they do get the Ember Spirit sort of away from the fight, but Parker and Mariano are able to get in there. Saberlight will be taken down, but Bryle's going to throw down the traps. He doesn't have the blink, though, so he's not really going to be able to sort of catch up all that quickly, and that Doom is not going to do what they wanted it to. KXY loses about half his HP. Moon Meander. Okay, he's going to chase his way forward. Bryle's coming back in, maybe. Ooh, there it is.
He's still
KXY
dead.
gets taken down. He just really can't disjoint that. It's still coming after him. So I'm not even really sure how to gauge that one. They get KXY, they brought down the 2 supports, but they had to lose 3 of their own, so overall the fight does go Infamous's way, but I suppose if you're Undying, you push your opponents out of your own south side jungle, so they are trying to sort of retain a little bit more control over the map in that regard.
And this is all time that, again, Tomato is not showing up to the fight. He hasn't gone for any of those steroids, so he has to work for all of his farm, and he's keeping up with pretty much all of the other cores in this game. He hasn't really missed a beat. But still, if anything, you need to be careful on who you rupture. If really Parker can have that sort of breakneck positioning, and actually, Infamous, they deward their own ward. Undying, maybe stealing some strats there, and that's kind of cool to see. Taking a page out of Infamous, and then Infamous countering their own page. Just a little bit funny. But really, it's all of the pressure. Who is getting ruptured? Who are you able to lock down? Because their lockdown, it's really sort of all in with the RP, with the Bushwhack and the Sharpshooter. If your spells whiff, it feels like it's all or nothing. The really only spell that's guaranteed, that's easy, and sort of a factor that's always going to persist through these fights is that Rupture. And okay, they got him again.
They hit Saberlight up with the Rupture. He's just going to TP out right away, though. So that is not
Take that.
fantastic. They don't use the RP at least, so they're still sort of holding it as Moon actually going to win a fight. That is something we haven't really seen too
Here
often from him.
comes, they see no TP.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely dead here. Michael wants revenge, and Moon, he's already used everything he's got. He goes for the cookie stun there, but yeah, now he's going to get rooted up. Bushwhack comes through as well, and the Blood Right will take him down. But hey, he got his target. He took down A really right at the start of that one, so that is going to be another sort of 1-for-1 that I think you're okay with if you're Undying. As Bryle, I mean, he's got the DD. Yeah, he wants it. He's going in for the tower, and that is just chunking down. Wow. I mean, the tower's gone. There's no glyph here for Infamous. You can't defend it.
And that's something that really they can't afford to use. If they do, then the tower, the tier 3 tower sort of gets busted open at that point. And Saberlight, he's trying to connect with his team, get a little bit closer to this Bloodseeker. And Parker, he's gone for Lincoln Sphere Heaven's Halberd. So now we saw Saberlight break his doom on a Lincoln's before. They don't have a great way to cancel it out, but here they go. They're fighting into Aegis. It's going to expire in 15 seconds. They want to delay this fight as long as they can. Saberlight just clicked on the Lincolns. He knows he can't break it. So this is going to get interesting.
Bryle wants to use that Aegis. He could just die to the Rupture right now, but he's actually going to hold off while his teammates push their way forward. They're able to take down A. They're getting in onto KXY. That is some nice RNG there with the multicast, keeping him locked down long enough. And now, Bryle did end up having that Aegis pop. So he's back in, full HP and mana. Michael, Jesus, not going to be able to get away from Bryle and Tomato, as he will be taken down as well. And Infamous at this point, it's time to leave. Parker's just going to TP away. Mariano sort of hits him up with the Empower first, but neither one of those two heroes are sticking around for very long. So the fight will be lost, and I believe the tier 1 tower should be going down here as well. That glyph is going to be deployed. It'll be refreshed on the death of the tower, but the tower is going down no matter what. Undying really just starting to pull away here. 10k net worth lead, and control of the map starting to go into their hands as well.
And really, it's this Grove Bow on the TA, man. It's so broken. You get it. You are suddenly a Drow Ranger, more or less, without the Dragonlance, and it's so obnoxious. It's so annoying. And KXY, he hasn't, or really, I guess he has now. Yeah, Tomato. Just got a freebie. They don't know he's alone either. Parker got a kill on the other side. Interesting stuff, but again, it doesn't really matter. This is where I don't think they realized how alone Tomato was. They just don't have the vision out on the map. You see all of the Infamous wards sort of ping-ponging around that bottom jungle, and Undying are cutting in just a little bit closer, and they need to be careful of this high ground. Oh, they popped the Lincolns.
They get the Doom in onto Parker. The Bloodseeker's in trouble. They've got to try and get him away here. Is there anyone who can save him? Mariano. Okay, TP'd in. Got the RP, but he doesn't have the blink, so he's going to have to wait a little while. Oh, almost actually committed it there, but he will be able to hold it. Saberlight, though, holding his ground. Goes for the War Stomp. They've got enough damage there to finish off A, but Saberlight may still be in some trouble. Parker waited out the Doom. He'll turn around. Saberlight will fall. Dubu's in some trouble as well. Bryle, he can't really do anything. He's just going to have to sort of sit back and wait, but now they're in onto Tomato. They want to try and track him down. The Blink, however, will get the Ursa away, but now Bryle sort of wandering into the crosshairs here. He's looking for Michael, and he is going to be able to find that kill. Now he wants more. Mariano in some trouble as well. Yule Scepter will buy him time, but that BKB is going to be coming to an end, but it doesn't really matter. Mariano tried in for the RP. It actually might be enough. Bryle eating the cheese. The spit out gets Tomato into the fight just in time. I think that bought the TA the time he needed to actually eat that cheese. And Tomato's in there for the damage afterwards. Parker gets taken down. Infamous thought that they had an opportunity, and in fairness to them, they did. It's just that play from Moonmeander is too good.
They overextend just a little bit. You saw making their approach towards the TA, the traps, he was just a little bit too set up for them. He kites them towards him. They take so much damage. There's so much anti-armor, and they just fall. There's not much you can do about it. Even see Tomato, yeah, he's just blinking forward, trying to punish A, just existing, trying to play Dota. And now the glyph will be committed, but you died so close, and it feels so close, it's hard to say, but it really, they just had a creep wave coming in already. The push was already sort of being laid down before them, and without RP, without really any abilities to hold down these heroes, Parker can't buy back in good conscience, and this might just be 2 racks.
Yeah, I think they can swing it for a second. They're going to make their way mid, and as you said, Parker can't really buy back, but they may need him. They're going to lose Michael here, as he will be taken down. A is at least able to pop the Ghost Scepter and walk away, but this is not looking fantastic for them. They are going to get a buyback from the Hoodwink. They want in for more. KXY pushing forward, looking for the lockdown, not really able to get it, and Bryle just turns around. Michael's going to die again. And KXY, he needs to get out. He's not going to be able to do so. Now the spit out is going to, oh, never mind. Saberlight gets spit into it, immediately blinks back, so he's not going to get sort of caught out in that engagement, but Infamous are just leeching, or not leeching, but leaking sort of kills here over and over again, and that's going to be the second lane of Rax taken.
Yeah, and it felt like they were trying to make their way out, and this is a nice play.
Ryle
But the
looking to...
psionic projection, he's out. He
Oh,
has the Ags.
wow.
He didn't know, and they don't have enough lockdown without the hoodwinked. Okay.
That feels so bad. That was a perfect play. They get the rupture, they get the skewer, everything's looking good. But now Bryle, he's going to use that projection again to get back into the middle lane, and he didn't quite get up to full HP, but he's pretty close, so he could just really immediately regroup with his team and look for another fight.
Yeah, and there isn't a shard on the TA. There isn't a silence coming out to disable this Ember Spirit. KXY just continues to not have a remnant. He doesn't have a safety net or a security plan or any insurance, and he continues to get punished for it. And now, I mean, if Moon wanted to, he could just finish off this Rax himself. It doesn't really matter. And Infamous are in a position now where, Mariano, you have to get maybe a 3 or 4 man RP at this point. But now there's always the threat of, oh, Moon Meander is going to gobble up save somebody. Oh, you don't have a BKB yet on Mariano, so Dubu could always just Fire Blast you. There are so many issues now in their lineup, and this is all without thinking about Saberlight, where you have this Doom just waiting in the wings. He really hasn't had to do pretty much anything. It's just been the Bryle show, and he really is putting on a show for us. He continues to be this playmaking hero. There's the Doom on Mariano.
Jumping in, they get the Doom down. Yeah, Mariano can't throw out the ult, so the RP is not available. Michael now on the run. He's going to be able to get away. The problem is, well, the problem is Undying don't really care about the Hoodwink. They're just going to push back in for that final lane of Rax, and Infamous have to hold, but Tomato jumping forward, looking for A, not able to get him, but they do get the Scatter Blast in onto KXY, and that is an upgraded Scatter Blast as well, so it did lock him down. KXY will fall, buyback unavailable, and at this point, it just feels like it's the end of it. The Sharpshooter comes in from Michael, but it's not really going to be enough to matter. They're just getting pushed back to their own fountain, and that means Undying are free to push in for that final lane of Rax, looking to secure the Megas here, and if they do get those Megas, I really don't think Infamous have much left to do. Saberlight, that is quite the throw. They will get him forward, or spit rather, as they're in onto A. Will they be able to take him down? Yes, they will. Now they're looking for more. Parker, Lincoln's pop, trying to get in for the kill onto Moon Meander. Not going to have the damage for it just yet, but Michael gets it with the Acorn shot, so he's at least going to be able to find one extra kill. The gem hits the deck, but not really sure Undying care too much. Dubu is going to be able to TP himself away. Meanwhile, that final lane of Rax was taken away, so they got what they wanted. Minimal casualties. They just backed themselves away, and Infamous are really just sort of staring right down the barrel at this point. I don't know how much they can really do.
And immediately into the pit with Bryle, he's just soloing Roche. There's nothing they can do about it. He gets the Mega Creeps, he has the Psionic Projection, he TPs into Roche, he TPs back to all the waves. This is the power of this Aghanim Scepter. People slept on it for such a long time, and now I really feel like this is sort of the end. You get the refresher as well with Doom, so it just feels like now there's no reason for Undying to sort of wait it out. Maybe they wait for Moon Meander to sort of finish this one, but you even see Mariana and Parker, I think they're just waiting for one more unfortunate thing to happen to them, and then probably going to see the GG pretty soon here.
There it is, Saberlight jumping forward, they get down the Infernal Blade into the Stomp, into the Fire Blast. Michael's already dead. And they're into the middle lane as well. They're going to try and lock down A and KXY. Not able to get either of them just yet, but Bryle, that's a lot of damage. He's got the meld with the actual bash with that 25 talent, so KXY was momentarily locked down, but looks like he's still getting himself away for now, as he is going to be able to jump out. Meanwhile, back in the jungle, what the world's going on here? Mariano and Parker, they're trying to get onto Tomato, but there's going to be that spit up, gobble up, or you know what I mean, the play to get Tomato out of there, but now he's back in. He avoids the initial sort of jump in. They go into Mariano. They're going to be able to take him down. Now they hit the Doom onto the Bloodseeker, but he is so fast. Look at this man go. He is zooming his way across the map, trying to get all the way back into the base. He will be able to do so, but now they've got to deal with Bryle. He is going to get stunned up, but even if they bring him down once, the Aegis will be there. Now Tomato's into the fight. KXY dropping low. Yule Scepter's going to keep him alive, though, so he is trying to fight his way through this, but it's not going to be enough. He will go down. No buyback available. Bryle's back in thanks to that reincarnation from the Aegis, and there's the GG.
Yeah. And it felt like it could have been called a lot sooner. Doesn't really matter. I felt like they really lost control of that game in that bottom lane where Bryle was just barely able to get that cheese off. Everything sort of turned in the enemy team's favor at that point. But up until then, Infamous, it felt like they really could have won this game. It felt like they had drafted themselves a lineup where maybe as Ember Spirit shouldn't have gotten as countered as it felt like he did. I really think KXY sort of fell short in this series. I think in game 2, get him on another hero like the Ember Spirit. You first phase it, for God's sake. He's confident on this hero. He just really didn't do well versus Brow, and that's something he hasn't been playing versus the sort of hardest mid laners. He hasn't been playing in sort of those disadvantageous matchups in the rest of this playoff bracket. But if KXY can show the skill that we know he has, I think they can immediately bounce back. And I mean, looking at the graphs, it felt like, yeah, Undying, they were getting a pretty sizable lead. When you get on a 12, 13-minute Roche into that Deso on the TA, it does feel pretty dominating, but 100% Infamous were bouncing back. It felt like there were so many chances for them to sort of pull it out of the depths that they were sort of in. And they had the big plays, they had the RPs, they had the skewer plays. I just felt like there were so many times where KXY sort of let his team down, where he was getting caught out, he was dying really with remnants or slights that he could have been able to hit, to able to dodge out some of that damage. And at the same time, Undying, perfectly crafted lineup, something they've shown us pretty much the entire entire BTS Pro Series 6. They continue to make these lineups that have so few holes in it. Infamous, they had a little bit of an opportunity, but they've got to make that hole bigger. They've got to strike harder, and I don't think they need to be too shaken up about this. You just need to get a little bit of a better performance out of KXY, and I think Game 2 should be a little bit closer.
Yeah, it just feels like really they were still there for quite some time. It's just that they didn't quite have enough. When Undying sort of hit the power spike, Infamous didn't have the response. So I don't think they need to do anything too drastic, only some minor adjustments heading into that second game, but see what that game plan will be for the Infamous side, down 0-1 now in these lower bracket finals. So they need something to try and keep themselves back in it, try and take game 2, excuse me, and then push this to a full 3 matches. So we are going to be hopping into a bit of a break, but when we return, it will be that second match. Will Infamous be able to fight their way back into it, or will Undying get that 2-0 sweep and really sort of set their date for a rematch in that grand final against 4Zoomers? So we'll be back with the start of the Game 2 draft in just a little bit, so stick around and we'll be back your way.